Welcome back, Spirits of Vengeance, to a Ghost Rider vlog.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the show. Today's episode is going to focus on issue number 71, also known as The Tears of Adam Henderson. This particular episode starts off first and foremost with Adam and his wife, as they are having a little bit of an argument. Mostly Adam's having that problem. Over the last couple of years he's been an English teacher, and he's sick and tired of literally getting blank stares from students who don't give a care about anything he's teaching. He's long since wanted to get back into being a musical artist, but the words cannot find him anymore. In his anger, he breaks his guitar and storms out of the house. Depressed, lonely, reached the age of 30, in which I am, and I can totally understand his having reached 30 like myself and also lost as to where he can go, not unlike myself. He just runs off into the streets, and a few moments later he finds his usual lookout spot where he and his wife used to serenade before they got married. However, as the creeping darkness in his heart continues, so does a shadow grow over him, before it takes him and consumes him. Adam walks around. He's now got this strange cold sensation throughout his body. In his anger, he yells out at a house with children having fun. The lights go out and the music goes silent. He passes by another home. A dog barks and growls at him. He growls and snarls back at the thing before it suddenly keels over and dies. He then continues to pursue on. Something calls to him as he finally enters the circus, pushes Red aside, Johnny barely stopping him from starting up a fight, as fans also suddenly appear moments later, and he continues, Adam, his pursuit towards the Mystic's tent. Madame Ogla is at her Mystic tent as usual, and she seeks the truth of this man named Adam. As she is suddenly touched by his hands, she sees visions she's never seen before. The entity that is inside of Adam shows her his past, as he is a entity born out of the death of 500,000 people, the entirety of a very angelic race that went off to seek the answers for everyone's existence, only to find nothingness, and in their depressions killed themselves in a fiery lake, only for their subconsciouses to combine together into what is now known as Null, the Beast of Darkness. Null is still inside of Adam, finally lets go of the vision, and we're not sure what happens, but suddenly there's an explosion which gets the attention of all the other circus dwellers. They come only to find Madame Ogla unconscious momentarily, get her back into her chair, only to then see Adam floating with the purple mist of Null all around him. Null seeks out the crowd and points out a pastor that we mentioned earlier in the book, and then yells at him for trying to make sense out of what the Null believes is nothing but nonsense and chaos. He strikes the pastor, then literally flies off with him. Amidst all this is probably the most awesome bit is that Johnny takes it into his mind, as usual, to run off to help, stating to the others that he's going to try and find somebody else that can actually help them, and getting the usual treatment of people not sure what he's going to really do, except for those like Red who are actually in on his secret. In the meantime, we get a very Superman-esque transformation as you see more and more flame enter his head, before he finally goes to full Ghost Rider and then races off to chase after Null. Null, as Adam returns to his wife, but then presents her with a shrunken pastor. She obviously doesn't like it, and as Null, is still in control, tosses the pastor out the window. Is like, fine, don't need it. Thankfully, as the pastor gets tossed out the window, he grows back to his normal size and is able to escape any major harm. He is, however, unconscious as the Ghost Rider comes to the house and the battle ensues. In the end, the battle goes out into the streets again, and a statue is toppled over, nearly killing Adam's wife. This gives Adam a moment to take over from Null and starting to force Null out. The pastor manages to jump in and save Adam's wife, only causing him a broken leg. The Ghost Rider then quickly attacks Adam with hellfire. Adam's desire to see his wife safe is the only thing that keeps him safe from the power of the hellfire. And once Null has been forced out, the Ghost Rider then attacks it, hopefully destroying it for good. However, we can only assume that this is just another temporary holdback for Null, as Null will seek out vengeance yet again. And then we also end with the endings of all three major characters at the end of this final battle. The pastor of a broken leg, he'll be fine, and he's regained his faith after helping save someone in the midst of a fight between two very strange and very hellish beings, and managing to survive an attack from one of them. The wife gets her husband back, and despite him being extremely shaken, he appears to be possibly fine for the long stretch. And Johnny, who seeks hiding in order to revert back to his normal self, just trying to get by another day. And we are also treated to an ending, the tempting of Johnny Blaze. So we'll see where this next chapter goes to. Overall, a nice little interesting setup. Null had previously fought with the Defenders, a group that the Ghost Rider had worked with a couple of times previous, and will actually work with again in the 90s. So, just a nice little nod to the supernatural stuff that both Ghost Rider, Doctor Strange, and some of their collaborating groups like the Defenders would have to deal with from time to time. Very good artwork, as I've already shown you. And I would also add, with slight amusement, this particular ad of Doctor Doom trying to sell his comic books. You can get a year's worth and get 4 of them free. That's all for now. I'll see you all next week.